In Touch offers no fewer than 6 readings for today. Such generosity. In one of them, which is 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 to 11, Paul is talking about giving. And verse 7 has one of the best known phrases in the letter, indeed in the New Testament, the Bible even, perhaps in the whole English language, namely, God loves a cheerful giver. It's no surprise that the Bible talks about money because it's central to our society. Right now, all around us, we see the effects of the slowing down of the economy. Unemployment's up, businesses are closing, charities are struggling to keep going. And in the middle of all that, we've seen the racial tension in society surface, being played out in demonstrations and in righteous anger about our heritage. So much of this city's development and prosperity, as well as that of the whole nation, is derived from trade in human beings. I don't know what's the right line on statues, on street names and so on. Some of them commemorate people who were clearly monsters, and they surely can't all stay. If we only leave statues to women and men who were faultless, there will be very few statues indeed, because we're all flawed. We all need the opportunity to learn. We all need the chance to change our minds and change our direction. We're all products of the age and society in which we live. When I look back at previous generations of my family, kind, compassionate, brave and loving people, some of their attitudes would, I know, be far out of step with society today, and not in a good way. I've been reminded this week that we all need to keep learning, to keep developing, to keep growing. I've been shocked by some of the accounts of racism that I've read or heard. My daughter told me about her friend Eunice, her kind and funny friend, who has grown up with a string of racist abuse, which she had kept to herself till now. Or this, which I read from someone called Kerry. Have you ever walked into a pub with your kids and had 2 grown men in their 40s turn up their noses, laugh and say, "Suddenly smells bad in here," as your children walk past the table? I have. Have you ever sat in a Pizza Hut or a Nando's and had a nice white family of 4 refuse to sit next to you? Have you ever sat in a park watching your children play and had a dad walk up with his 2 children and tell them not to go near your kids while they play or else? None of those things have happened to me, but they are happening in our nation today. I don't think I knew it was like this, and I'm deeply sorry that it is like this. I do not want my city or my country to be like this for anyone. And what, you might fairly ask, has all that to do with being a cheerful giver? Well, actually, everything, in my view. But you do need the context, because the quote starts a verse earlier, in verse 6, which says, "The point is this, the one who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and the one who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each of you must give as you have made up your mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." One of the very best periods in my life was when someone from another culture came to live with us. She stayed for a year, and we learned so much. We had such good time. It was a sacrifice opening our home, but we reaped far more than we sowed. And so it is with our society and with us as individuals. When we choose to believe in people, when we choose generosity, when we choose openness and welcome, when we choose love just because we want to, not reluctantly or under compulsion, then it is that we will see growth, a harvest, perhaps, of generosity, openness, welcome, and love. No matter what happens now, we will be repaying the cost of the pandemic in higher taxes for years and years to come. The pandemic taught us who the key workers are. The Black Lives Matter campaign is teaching us something else, something that's just as important for our future. And so I hope and pray that we will listen to people like Eunice and Kerry, that we'll listen and change. And I hope and pray that we will build a different kind of society where we take much more care to reach out to the disadvantaged and the marginalised. A society with more equity and a bias to the poor, with a commitment to community and one that cares for the world. I hope we will. And if we do that, then we will have learned something very valuable from this crisis. And finally, I hope and pray that I will remember what I have learned this week and that I will be a cheerful